Inequity in the world, a lot of imbalance. 80% of the world's resources are consumed by less than 20% of the world's people. When fundamental needs are not met, then the reaction to that is violence. Actually, it's not even violence in the beginning. In the beginning, it's shock and numbness and denial and fear and panic, and only later does this turn to anger and violence and retribution, and then the whole cycle starts to perpetuate itself.
So here we are, the inheritors of the whole of creation, so to speak, the whole of evolution at least, with an intelligence that's somewhat impaired by the fact that we have come to this place largely through competition, violence, selfishness. And we haven't learned yet that happiness is going to be found not in fighting each other, but in joining hands and trying to climb out of this swamp of human selfishness that we find ourselves in, instead of fighting over the real estate.
The magic of the movie was more than just getting great interviews. It was people coming forward and helping with camera work and production help, and even things like music for a soundtrack. Michael Fitzpatrick is a world-renowned cellist, and he traveled with the Dalai Lama and wrote this music for him that they call Compassion. Well, one day, about 4 months into the project, we get a box in the mail, and it's the Compassion CD from Michael Fitzpatrick with the rights to use the music, and speaking over the music is the Dalai Lama himself, talking about compassion.
Genuine compassion is irrespective of what others' attitude towards you. But so long, you see, the others also just like myself, they want happiness, do not want suffering, and also have the right to overcome suffering. On that basis, you see, develop some kind of sense of concern. Now, that is the genuine compassion. Now, unbiased, even towards your enemy. So long that enemy, also the human being or some other form of being. So they also have the right to overcome suffering. So on that basis, you see the sense of concern. That's compassion.
Somewhere in the suffering, the poverty, the distress in this world, there is some lesson, some experience that people need.
Probably the most important quality humans possess is compassion. To feel with, to be in solidarity
with other people's pain, and to let it become my pain.
I think evil is the absence of consciousness, of empathy, of being able to feel with another.
If you allow yourself to be vulnerable and let the pain in, once you let the pain in, you can't be a hard ass anymore. You just can't. Do you understand?
A pickpocketer come and pickpocket my money. The money I work so hard. And then I cannot love the pickpocketer. I cut his hand and I look deep in his eye. Who is your father? I don't know. The pickpocketer said, who is your mother? Mother is there. Instead of slapping the pickpocketer in a very superficial way, you have to keep his hand, look deeper, inquire about him. And when you inquire him, you understand him deeply. That is vipassana. And when you understand deeply one thing, two things, slowly, everybody will become Buddha.
If we'd seen Jesus as a living message of human vulnerability, I think that quality could save the world.
And this land will become the land of God.
We were about a year and a half into the project when another really rare interview opportunity presented itself to us. In 1967, Dr. Martin Luther King nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize a young Vietnamese monk named Thich Nhat Hanh.
Please call me by my two names so I can wake up. So the door of my heart will be left open, the door of compassion.
Over the next 40 years, Thich Nhat Hanh went on to become a real major figure on the world stage of spiritual thought and a renowned Buddhist teacher. It was during one of his rare visits to the United States that he learned of our project and agreed to meet with us and share his thoughts.
Well, the plan was to study with him for 3 days, and at the end, he'd answer some of our questions. But after the 3 days, we found out that there were a bunch of other groups that wanted to talk to him as well.
But despite these demands on his time, for whatever reason, he walks over, sits down in front of our little camera setup, and spends 20 minutes with us.
And what I thought was interesting was when I asked him one of the questions about living in the present moment, he answered the question with a story.
A man riding on a horse. He seems to be in a very hurry. And a friend of his standing by the sidewalk, calling on him, "Where are you going?" And the man on the horse said, "I don't know, you ask the horse." It means that we do not know where we go. We allow the situation to carry us away. We are not in control of ourselves. We do not live our own life in the here and the now.
Carl Jung says, and I think he's right, that 95% of people live 95% of their life unconscious. They're just on a conveyor belt. They can be bought off very easily. We see this, how the media can almost create any mentality at once in America, usually within a week. And we think we're intelligent people, huh? But you can tell there's no ground or center in here. And whatever the dominant consciousness tells us to believe, we by and large believe. Bread and circuses was the name in the Roman period, that the Roman people could be kept unconscious by just keep giving them enough bread and entertaining them in the Colosseum.
Bread and circus of media. Television is a drug. Television is the new church. And it sucked our brains into the TV tube. And what it's done is created a matrix where people are totally stupefied and distracted from the world around them and a belief that they can change it.
We think we're the mind that is miserable and that is anxious and that wants and desires. So we chase it and we become anxious. Settle down. Relax. Go inside. Meditate. Doesn't matter what religion. Meditate and still your mind.
There's nothing wrong with this moment. It's complete.